a busy few days in the NFL, as the Washington football team signed Curtis Samuel to a 3-year, $34.5 million deal. The Seahawks signed Gerald Everett to a to a 1-year, $6 million deal. The Raiders signed Kenyon Drake to a 2-year, $14.5 million deal. Now, the news broke right as soon as we got off the air again. A.J. Green signed a 1-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals worth $8.5 million. The Cowboys, a few hours later, started making moves. A little underwhelming moves, but they were moves of some sort. The Cowboys decided to cut their punter Chris Jones after an abysmal year where his average was 47 yards a punt. Then he got injured, and then a young punter came in, and his shortest punt I believe was 52 yards. So it's not even close. Why are we paying Chris Jones this much money and he's not even that good? Then the Cowboys decided that they were going to sign, again, underwhelming talent. They signed Terrell Basham, who they liked out of Ohio State. They signed him to a 2-year, $6.5 million deal. They signed Brett Urban to a 1-year vet minimum deal. And they signed Carlos Watkins to a 1-year vet minimum deal. As well as they re-signed Jordan Lewis to a 3-year, $16.5 million deal. I like the Jordan Lewis one. I think he tackles extremely well. Maybe moving him to safety is not the worst option. The Brett Urban one is more like a replacement for Tyrone Crawford, who could be retiring because he can play inside, outside. He's long. He's 6'7". He's not really a pass rusher, but he can make plays. So it all works out if you are the Cowboys. Again, underwhelming signings, but this guy might be really good if we can tap into his potential a little bit. The Broncos just now signed Justin Simmons to a 4-year, $61 million deal worth $35 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid safety. A mega deal, 4 years. That's unbelievable. That's what he wanted. That's what he got. Both Todd Francis were Dak Prescott and Justin Simmons' agent, and they both got mega deals. So that's a great way to go. The Pats re-signed David Andrews to a 4-year deal. No details came out about that. Patrick Peterson signed a 1-year deal, $10 million with the Minnesota Vikings. Makes sense. That's a deal he was probably going to get. He's lost a little bit of speed, and he's a little older, but he still makes plays. That's the kind of deal he's going to make. Allen Robinson signed his franchise tag tender, which is worth about $18 million in 1 year. And how these franchise tag tenders work. They average out the top 5, from 1 to 5, they average out how much they're going to make a year. And that's how they figure out the franchise tag tender. So, for instance, when the Cowboys were going to try and franchise tag Dak Prescott again, it would have been worth about $38 million. Okay? But when you're a receiver, you don't make as much money. Amari Cooper's making $20 million, so they have to average it out. And it averaged about $18 million, so that's what he got. But the Chicago Bears were incredibly busy after Allen Robinson signed the tender. They cut Kyle Fuller, and they are allowing Akeem Hicks to seek a trade. Now, if you don't know this already, The trade to try and get Russell Wilson consisted of Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, and Kyle Fuller. That didn't happen. So they cut Kyle Fuller. They're letting Akeem Hicks seek a trade, and then they haven't said anything about Khalil Mack's future as a Chicago Bear. The Browns are expecting to bring back Rashard Higgins on a one-year vet minimum deal. Kyle Van Noy is signing with the New England Patriots a 2-year deal worth $13.2 million, so a New England reunion. The Browns signed Troy Hill to a 4-year, $24 million deal. Andy Dalton, who signed with the Bears on that 1-year deal, was told that he was going to be the starter. And that's a shocker, because now they brought in Nick Foles last year, and then they were talking that they were going to bring in Russell Wilson. My thought is, are they going to draft somebody too? What's going on? They're going in 3 different directions at the same time. It's like, what is this front office doing? They don't know what they're doing at all. They are moving pieces to try to sign quarterbacks and trade for quarterbacks. It doesn't make any sense. The Dolphins have signed Will Fuller to a 1-year deal with about a little more than $10 million. Makes a lot of sense. He's from Miami. He played at Miami. This is like a coming home present, if you will. Instead of being in Houston where they're going crazy, go here. It's a lot better. They're figuring out how to win. Mitch Trubisky signed a 1-year, $2.5 million deal with the Buffalo Bills to be backup. That's a smart move on his part, because he knows that's probably the only deal he's really going to get. He had a great December, but that's the deal he's only going to really get. Makes sense that that's what he got. Makes sense that he should go in the backup quarterback role for at least a little while. That way people can see, hey, he's been around Josh Allen. He can come that way. We'll just got to see what's going to happen. The Chargers signed Jared Cook to a 1-year deal with $6 million. The Buffalo Bills signed Kyle Rudolph to a 2-year deal with $14 million. So potentially the two best tight ends left in this free agent class are gone off the board now. They're now in different places and going to have longer careers potentially. The Chiefs signed Kyle Long to a 1-year deal with $5 million. Now, Kyle Long had just unretired a few days ago. We think he has football left in him. And now he's on an offensive line that has Joe Thuney, who's a very good player. That offensive line for the Chiefs has just gotten even more dangerous. We'll see what's going to happen if they can actually come together. The Raiders put Marcus Mariota in a very tough situation. They basically said, okay, take an $8 million cap cut, or you're going to be cut and you're not going to be on this team anymore. That's a very difficult situation because his market is pretty much dried up. They can't trade him. They're going to trade him for nothing, basically. So if you're Marcus Mariota, it's like, okay, lose $8 million, stay on the team, and still make money. Get cut by the team, not make any money anymore, and now have to go somewhere else. It's like, what am I supposed to do? The Pats traded Ryan Izzo to the Texans for a 7th round pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. This would make sense because he hasn't been great as a tight end, and now you have Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. Makes a lot of sense. Philip Lindsay and the Broncos have decided to part ways. And we had heard some rumblings about this a few years ago, and it just never happened. And now, I guess because now they have Melvin Gordon, they now can do this. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the next chapter of Philip Lindsay's NFL career. Patrick Chung, the safety for the New England Patriots, has retired after 11 years in the NFL, so congratulations to him. He played the majority of his career in New England, but he did have a stint with the Philadelphia Eagles. And Patrick Chung, who opted out of the 2020 season, who's only 33 years old, has now retired. Hassan Reddick has been signing with the Carolina Panthers. It's a $8 million deal with $6 million guaranteed. It's a good deal. It gives you a shot. I'd take it if I was him. He did. He did take it. The Raiders have traded Rodney Hudson. Now, after the Raiders said that they were going to release Hudson, they have now traded him to the Arizona Cardinals for a third-round pick. And the Raiders re-signed Richie Incognito, their offensive lineman that they wanted to keep that had to become a salary cap casualty because they didn't have the money to pay him, but now they do. The Jets have signed Keelan Cole to a 1-year, $5.5 million, which makes sense. I like what the Jets have been doing, as well as what the Lions have been doing. They say, there's not enough talent here, let's bring some older talent in there, so if we have 1 or 2 good years with them, they can show these young guys how to win. And maybe they can just feed off that and we can do what we can have better success. Speaking of success, Bill Cowher, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame, he was an inductee in the 2020, after the 2019 season, has finally picked a public presenter in Steelers owner Rooney II. Now, as many of you know, Bill Cowher coached the Steelers for 15 years. He was 34 years old when he got the job. The Rooneys were the owners at that time, so he has tremendous respect for the Rooney family. The Rooneys gave him his first job, and for a kid that came from Pittsburgh, his hometown team, the place that he calls home, and now to be inducted by a person he worked for, that he has tremendous respect for, that's probably the best pick you can get. And the final thing is, Kenny Golladay, over the last few days, has been busy weighing his options. He's been talking with the Bears and the Giants the last few days. He's now today going to talk to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, if it was me, I would rank it Baltimore to run offense. You're not going to get the ball a lot. Chicago, yeah, but it's more, you don't know about the quarterback, and it's more Allen Robinson runs that place, and the second-year receiver, Mooney, is really coming along. So the best place for me, if I was Kenny Golladay, would be New York, because they don't have a number 1 receiver. And wherever you go, you become the de facto number 1 receiver. So I would rank it Giants, Bears, Ravens. But what do you guys think? Where should Kenny Golladay go? You decide.